Hi, everybody. My name is Yakari Ajla Singh. Um, this is an episode today on the Black Society podcast. Today is June 3rd, 2019. Today we're lucky enough to have a special guest with us, Miss Jasmin Washington, who is also the first Black woman president of the student government at Central Washington University. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And today, Miss Washington's going to be on here. We're going to be asking her some questions about educational opportunity, her experience, and then asking some more in-depth questions on today's episode. So we'll dive right in. So when you were growing up, did you ever think about college as a realistic option for yourself, being a Black woman?
It's funny because when I was growing up, college was never not an option for me. My mom and dad never got their bachelor's degree and regretted it still to this day. My sister was accepted into Howard University and attended for 2 years, but never got her bachelor's degree. My mom is a teacher, so she always taught us how powerful knowledge is, and being Black in America meant that people can take things from you, but the number one thing that they could not take from us as the Black community is knowledge.
That's very powerful. I like that a lot. That all makes me think of, knowledge. Knowledge is power, and there's no exclusion on knowledge to go along with that. So the second question I have is, when was the moment that you decided you want to go to college? Like, if there was a definitive moment.
I got fired. Yes, when I got fired from my nursing job, I was a medication assistant. I realized that I had this drive to go to school, which I completely ignored because my family did not have the finances to keep me in school. But I applied anyways. And I had no clue how I was going to pay for school. I just knew. I told my parents, I was like, I just know this is a school for me. I just know. I just have a drive. Don't tell me no. I just know I'm going to figure it out. And so I like to say that it is God himself that brought me to Central, because even though many people doubt my ability to stay in school, something within my spirit knew that this was a journey for me, and now I know why, and I have the ability to change so many lives and make an impact like no other.
Hey, everything happens for a reason, right? It's probably a reason why you end up getting fired from that job. So, and then also, could you speak to, I guess the next question would be, what barriers impacted your educational opportunity? Kind of like when you're going through that journey you were speaking of. What barriers kind of stuck out to for your personal experience?
The barriers that impacted my educational opportunity, I would say, is that I was extremely sick. I have sickle cell anemia on top of endometriosis, which contributed to me constantly being in the hospital. I also am first generation, non-traditional, low-income student. My family could not help me apply for scholarships and financial aid, not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't know how to help me. Still to this day, I have struggled my way through financial challenges as well.
Wow. Yeah, and I think a lot of people just kind of get that lost. Like, we're having more conversations about it, but the fact, especially Black people, and then you specifically being a Black woman, they don't really think about that process, especially when we look at like our country in a historical context. Right. So question number 4, when thinking about the educational opportunity in our country, what do you think is the main barrier for Black people? And, this is a large discussion. I know this. I'm just asking one thing. But if you were really to take the Black community as a whole, what would you think that one barrier is?
I'm going to say 2.
Okay, that's fine.
I would say income and systematic racism, which go hand in hand. Right. Which is embedded within our country. Income, because even though all Black students wanted to attend a university, the question is, how would the lack of resources be available to students of color, I guess, to pay for college? We don't have any resources for students as much as we would like. It is time to admit that college is a privilege, and it is aimed towards advancements of white middle-class men, which is why we see today white middle-class men making decisions about reproductive care, because marginalized communities don't have the resources or opportunities to even be placed in the room.
Yeah. I think it's very big. And again, like I said earlier, we're having those discussions, but like there's a lot of room for progress that is there, and still things we don't talk about. So the next part I'm going to kind of dive into. We're going to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois. He's a prominent black sociologist and black leader from the early 20th century. So kind of based on the thoughts from W.E.B. Du Bois. He believed that full citizenship and equal rights for African Americans would be brought about through the efforts of an intellectual elite. For this reason, he was an advocate of broad liberal arts education at the college level. And so that thinking, obviously, going back to where he was, you know, that was one of the equalizers for black people to be like, you know, if we can get education, maybe we can be on the same playing field in some regards as white people. So my question to you based off that thought is, do you believe that a college education is still an important and vital piece for black people to advance in America today?
I think a lot of black people are finding different ways on how to be successful. So is it, I guess it's different for everybody.
Right.
If you have that drive and that passion to be able to do something outside of getting a degree, then go for it.
Right.
But I think college education is still important and vital to the black community. We have to break generations of curses to be able to give our children and grandchildren opportunities without the amount of struggle and trauma that we had to endure just trying to get a degree or letters in front of our names.
Right. And I guess going off, just like to go off that, for you personally, do you think that college has been a beneficial experience?
I do think college has been extremely beneficial for me. In not only just enhancing my knowledge, but enhancing my professionalism. And now I feel more confident in going for jobs that I didn't feel confident in going for beforehand. It gave me experiences and opportunities that I've never thought that I would be able to even get in my own entire life. So I think college now for people of color can be extremely beneficial.